Welcome back to our channels, Warriors. We are still growing. If you haven't had all your crazy ex-wives smash that subscribe button, go ahead and have them smash you right now. First and foremost, let me give a shout out to all the patrons. I love you. You're the heartbeat of this channel. You're the only thing keeping this going. Stay tuned for your well-deserved shout out at the end. This episode right here, man. First of all, I want to say yesterday I took a dive down the rabbit hole. I went over to Dub's channel. Go check it out. Subscribe. I clicked on the oldest videos, right? So I went from the oldest to the newest. Man, you can tell when he was fresh out of prison, man. You can tell prison does something to you. I mean, his demeanorism, as opposed to now, is like he got his life back. So it's kind of good to see where he's at now. With that, today's episode, I'm going to talk about fighting the war against administration. Fighting the war against your supervisors that are violating policy and having you as a correctional officer violate policy. You know, when they started mixing inmates, GPs and SNY, in other words, mixing enemies, when we started mixing enemies, people on the streets or don't have any idea, like from a correctional officer's point of view, is like, well, how can you allow that? You took part in it. Why couldn't you stop it? Because you guys got to understand, we were in the dark. From lieutenant on down, we were in the dark. We knew it was a dumb idea. None of us were in agreement with it. I guess we figured there was going to be a solution. So there was no other choice. Plus, when you bus a lot of inmates from another prison down to your prison institution, it's like, hey, you got to house them somewhere. And they're already endorsed. Some of these managers blessed this move, right? So it's like, as long as it's blessed by not me, somebody else, and they're telling us to do this, like, the fuck? It wasn't until I saw what was really transpiring, right? So if you're a brand new correctional officer, this is a backstory. You got to understand that in your career, believe it or not, this is the truth. You will be asked by some sergeants, some lieutenants, some captains to violate policy. Literally, you're probably thinking, what the hell? Why would a sergeant, why would a lieutenant, why would a captain, AW, chief, warden, associate director, Ron Davis, why would they ask us to violate policy? It's a fact. It's a fact. Whatever little personal gain they want, their next promotion, ISU spot, whatever it is that they want, they're going to bend the knee, kiss the ring, and sell their soul. And believe it or not, the truth is, the higher they go up in rank, the less policy they know. That's a fact, man. You don't understand. When I was a lieutenant, a PIO, I used to look around at these captains and AWs and chiefs and wardens. They didn't know policy, which is very scary, right? Because you're probably under the impression, oh, they're the supervisor. They have the rank. They have the tenure, the rank, the years in the department. They must know policy. That's a facade. They don't. They don't, straight up. Now, is that everybody? No, that's the majority, let me tell you. So how are you going to defend yourself, prepare yourself in order to fight back for yourselves, right? Because ultimately your life is in danger, not mine. Yours is. You're going to document. Documentation is probably the key word here in this episode. You're going to document everything. Document. Okay. Now, is that going to stop the immediate action? No, it's not going to stop the immediate action. Fuck, even when you file with EEO, and that was always bred into me. You don't file, right? You don't complain. The old school people taught me this. Like, hey, we don't file, right? That's ratting. But trust me, it got to a point. I saw that turning point where it's like, no, you have to protect yourself now. These managers, these supervisors, they're out of control. They're going to get me jammed up. They're going to get me killed. They're going to get me fired. And then they're going to blame it on me. Documentation is everything. I can give you a few examples so you know what I'm talking about. And in no particular order, ADSEG, Donovan. There was a well-respected associate warden. And again, it's not a shot at him. I respect the dude. I respect him. But at one time, and he could probably agree with this, I was working ad seg as a lieutenant, covered relief or whatever, passing through for the day. And they were rolling up a bunch of inmates from Charlie Yard, level 4, EOP, SNY, DD, booger readers. They were rolling up like 30 of them. Well, all of a sudden, inmates started showing up to the back door of ADSEG without the proper paperwork, without the proper documentation, without 7219s, medical evaluations, without 1083s, property inventory sheets. I don't even think half of them had fucking lockup orders, ASU placement notice. And I'm like, hey, hold up, man, hold up. Telling the COs, the sergeant, hold, what the fuck is this? Oh, well, they're just bringing them in. Nah, dude, hey, what the fuck? Right, pump the brakes. Why? Because if an inmate goes into a cell with another inmate and gets murdered, who do you think they're going to blame? Well, they're going to blame the lieutenant, the sergeant, the officer. Well, why are these inmates in here? Who put them in here? Where's the paperwork? And I'm not saying that particular AW would have thrown us under the bus, because I don't really think that dude had it in him to throw it under the bus, but you're going to have a lot to answer to. So the AW calls me on the phone. Hey, what's the holdup? Why you holding these inmates up? Man, we need them in the pad. We need them in the cell now. I'm like, all right. So I got a red pen, went to the logbook, and I wrote per AW such and such, 30 inmates coming into ADSEG without the proper documentation. Was advised to let them in by the AW. All right, and I made a copy. You have to make a copy, because when investigations happen, Mario Carrillo, your captain, and every other captain and AW will go around to the housing units and collect those fucking logbooks. You're never going to see them again. That's corruption. That's one example. Now, I did that to cover my ass, to cover the sergeant's ass, the officers. And what about Warden Patrick Covello, who's somehow the current warden of Mule Creek State Prison? When he was acting warden at Donovan in ADSEG, this is when they first implemented non-designated program, mixing of the GPs and SNYs. And this is when Sacramento headquarters didn't want no more inmates in ADSEG, calling up all the wardens. Get all your inmates out of ADSEG. Get all your inmates out of ADSEG. So this stupid big-eared baoso, in his head, oh, just get all the inmates out of ADSEG, right? Doesn't give a fuck about anything, anyone but himself. So we tell the inmates, well, not me, the officers, hey, you're going to be moving to A yard. A yard, I think non-designated had already flipped. Whatever it was. The inmate was scared for their lives. No, I'm not going over there. No, I'm not going over there, refusing. So fucking Patrick Covello came up with a bright idea that during committee, when you escort the inmate out of his cell and he's in the committee room, for the officers to, it's called a direct admit, drag the inmate from the committee room on Bravo Yard all the way across the plaza, screaming and yelling and kicking all the way to A Yard. Here you go, boom, back like we're in the 1990s. The problem is we were no longer in the 1990s. This was around 2018-ish, 2017-ish. So yeah, the inmates would fight, assault staff, resist, and guess what fucking big-eared Covello would do? He'd put all those officers under investigation for excessive and unnecessary use of force. You see where I'm going with this, right? It wasn't until I fucking documented in the 837 that it was him who was calling the shots. And what did they do in return? They gave me an LOI. They wrote me up. They said that I turned my incident packet in late, which I know for a fact I didn't. As a matter of fact, it was Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving's coming up. So it was the weekend and holidays. They got their fucking packet when they came back to work. Well, okay, it was in your box all weekend. But that's just an LOI. I'll take that all day long to do the right thing. The other Victor Buffoon Cortez, when he was acting captain, you guys all know that fucking clown. I'm going to tell you guys a story of another one about him. When he was acting captain of me on Delta Yard, I was a lieutenant. He was the acting captain. If you guys don't know what acting is, he was not really an official captain. He was acting in the capacity. This was when Marcus Pollard was the warden, Chief Deputy Warden Raquel Bucco, and then you had fucking the Jomito wannabe Sureño from San Isidro captain who medically retired and went out backwards when his daddy Pollard left. That's a fact. I told you guys about the time the solid-ass good officer on Delta Yard told the inmate, tuck in your shirt. And the inmate said, fuck you, bitch, make me. And then the inmate took a step towards him, took up a fighting stance. That officer utilized physical force and fucking dumped him, slammed him. Boom. Well, we had a town hall meeting. Town hall meeting is when all the fucking captains get together with a staff and push their bullshit agendas on us. And Victor Cortez says, hey, we don't want you guys using force. I'm like, whoa, hold on, time out. No, fuck no, right? And that's when I was getting real boisterous, getting real loud. In front of all the officers, too. And he's like, well, we don't want, I'm talking about we, the warden, him, the chief. We don't want to see you guys using force over a blue T-shirt not being tucked in. I said the force was not used over the blue T-shirt being tucked in. The force was utilized because the inmate presented an imminent threat by clenching his fist and taking a step towards that officer. Oh, well, you can always just let it go and write him up later. I said, no, fuck no. You let him go. You let an inmate tell you, fuck you, bitch, make me. You let him walk away. And the next day, you're going to have 200 inmates telling you, fuck off, make me. Right. That was that one. Did I document that? No, I just fucking told him in his face. I was right. It was policy. Policy is policy. What other times did they ask us to violate policy? Fucking Shirley Sanchez, this fucking witch. I never really spoke on her because I ain't trying to give her the limelight. Fucking turd. AR during that non-designated, man. She didn't want me to lock up inmates in ADSEG. Again, this was during that time the headquarters said, get all the inmates out of ADSEG. Well, let me tell you, sometimes inmates fucking require to be placed in ADSEG. I don't give a fuck what people want or what people don't want, right? There's a policy in place. And there was one inmate that allegedly was threatening fucking, what was it? No, there was 5 inmates that dropped a kite on one inmate. No, it was 4 inmates. 4 inmates that dropped a kite on one inmate, and they were scared for their life. They had safety concerns. So what did I do? I locked up the 4 inmates for safety concerns, right? The captain come in the next day. She chews my ass, fucking unprofessional bitch. Why did you lock up those 4 inmates? Because they had safety concerns. Well, why didn't you lock up the one guy? I said, because an inmate threatening another inmate is not a chewable offense. Fucking bitch. Of course, when you talk to idiots like that, they just come up with other stupid shit. Oh, she was lazy, right? Making her walk down to ADSEG and do her, whatever it was called, initial review as a captain. So as a captain, when an inmate gets locked up in ADSEG, they have 48 hours, 24 hours to go down there and talk to them. What are you in here for, man? All right. And again, everything's documented. So, not to get long-winded, I think you're understanding how your managers will ask you to do things. Okay. I'm going to end it with this one. With that same AW, man, and he was a good AW, but I don't know, sometimes people lose their mind up at the top. There was a good AW, and there was definitely a good lieutenant. Shout out to her. She helped me out a lot. She's probably an AW now. I know she's a captain for sure. She's probably an AW, and I hope so. And I hope she gets chief deputy warden. Good person. This was Echo Yard, RJD, home of the Menendez brothers, level 2 non-designated. Well, you think it's fine, non-designated. Everybody's going to get along. In essence, it's an SNY yard, right? It's a deemed no good yard. Well, sometimes you would get inmates that were GP, sureños, off the bus, that were endorsed to Echo Yard. Well, they're not going to be hanging out very long on Echo Yard. We know that. They know that. Everybody knows that. They have to get off amongst their own rules. They have to attack the first fucking inmate they see in order to get removed from that yard so they can still be good, considered good amongst their gang. Well, sure as shit, a fucking sureño gets off the bus, beats the brakes off of this fucking old man. The lieutenant, good for her, she does the paperwork to lock up the inmate in ADSEG, right? You just fucking battered an inmate. Clearly you have safety concerns because you can't be here. You're fucking everything up. Which is understandable from my perspective. And the AW, who happened to be the AOD, the administrator of the day, calls her and says, nah, send him back to the cell. Send him back to the cell. So she's like, what? he said he's gonna fucking assault another inmate. Circumstances again, she's like, send him back to the cell. So I think they send him back to the cell, right? Again, violating policy. Not so much violating policy as it is documenting what you're being ordered to do. Dude goes back to the cell. Oh my God. 2 seconds later, beating the shit out of another inmate. Probably the same inmate. Hey, what the fuck? How's this happening? How's this continue to happen? Right? She gonna lock him up. Right? Now I'm gonna lock him up. 2 batteries, some fucking idiot. Right? I mean, not an idiot. It is what it is. The AW calls. Nah, send him back to the pad. She's like, I'm not sending him back to I'm not sending him back to his house. I'm not sending him back to his house. That's what I'm not going to do. Yeah, you're going to do it. All right, cool. I'm going to document that you're telling me to do it. He's like, all right, cool. Lock him up, lock him up. You see how they don't like that? So that's your message on how to fight a corrupt administration. Eventually, you're going to accumulate enough documentation that when shit hits the fan, you're going to have that to back you no matter what. Why do you think I'm so confident in my ability to speak to you guys and on camera? Because things that I talk about are factual, and I have the documentation to prove it. Everything I've ever spoken is in 837 incident reports, which are logged, memorandums. So, emails. I know I'm good. With that, this episode was sponsored by the following patrons. Lilybutt209. And then shout out to the homie right there. He changed his name. I think he's trying to remain inconspicuous, but I see you. 602 me, I don't give a fuck. 89 made me. You're a long way from Starbucks, homie. Ali, Terry, Ramiro de Leon, The Hound, Miss R, Milker, Standards on my feet, La Primera Play at your own risk, 209, William, Theo, A-Rod 310, Chris, Lesniak, Nisi B, I don't know, I'm not the regular, Brian the Lone Specialist, Big, Shags at Westminster, John Wick, Abuelita's Journey, Abuelita's Irma, Rodrigo Keep Pushing Forward, Giant Manhattan Pizza in Anaheim, check them out. Pachanga 209, Darlene from Santa Ana, F your mandates, write me up. VSP Yeti, Sabatino, Adalberto, Mercenary Mindset, Any Reason I Can't Hold You, Fontaine, Dixon, McCrary, Program Time, Carnalito, Treatment Not Time, Enforce Fit, My Outdoor Activity, Gigi, Vini Todavía Me La Pela, Santa Barbara County, Shut the F Up and Make It Wink, A La Verga 760, Miss Rod, G-Ride, Vote Newscom Out, The Prison Psychologist, Fuerte 84, Zeus, Michigan Wolverines, I have an 8-hour chrono, Put Me Out 6 Self, AWOL Like Monty, One Bad Yard Pedal, on to page number 2. Cherokee Cat, The Big Bad Wolf, Raider 62, L. Eli, Gerardo, Rigo SD, Pelon 1205, Who's Doing the Pipe, Denise, The Real McCoy, not the fake McCoy, JB Smooth, The Pogue in a Six-Pack, CO, Sergeant told me to tell you to make the bed move, Ricardo, Maladjusted, Ragtoss 5.0, Carmine the Pitbull, CJ Zavalza, EOP Whisperer, F your 602, Viva Mexico Cabrones, We Say Goodbye, Safety and Security on CDCR Unlocked, La Reina, Winston, Tony, El Skid, the OG, Hobie Cat, Lead with Love, Albert 12. CDCR is hiring. Carnival Game Experience is a plus. Facts. And the clown suit. Make sure you bring the clown suit. J.I. Esquiel, Nova, Linda, the retired CO, Marius, Robert, Chevelle 66. Hey girl, pop me up so I can give you some OJT. Lock up Allen and Sherman for corruption and the homie Rags. If you have not already signed up for that Patreon, make sure you hit that link in the description below. You're definitely missing out. I love you. Keep pushing forward.